and welcome back to the Arsenal Women's Chat Show. We have had a little break. Of course, the ladies are on international break at the moment, so that allowed us to have a wee break as well, because it seems like Arsenal haven't played in ages. So I'll obviously introduce my guests tonight, who are interested in the international. Everybody else seems to have ran away from it. I know George doesn't like the internationals. That's probably why he's not here. So, Paul, how are you? You all right?
Yeah, all good. Thank goodness there's some football back to watch.
Yeah, I was saying myself. So I was.
Yeah.
I'm missing it. So, I hear you have a very special birthday in your household.
Yeah, Esme turned 17 today, so frightening where that time has disappeared.
Yeah, happy birthday to Esme. I hope you're having a good one, pal. Yeah, as your dad says, 18 next year. You can drink him under the table. Kev, you all right?
Yeah, still alive. Watching plenty of international football.
I hear you still have the man flu.
Yeah. Still struggling to get through a day's work, but
you're still blaming that on Stamford Bridge, aren't you?
I am indeed. Blame everything on Chelsea.
Yeah, why not? They seem to get away with murder these days, don't they?
Well,
and Amelia? Really. No, really. You don't think they get away with murder?
Nah. Keep getting players sent off. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And Amelia, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm just plodding along and looking for stuff to do while we wait for football to start back. But we'll obviously get into international break at the moment. So we'll obviously break down the games that are already been played. We'll get into the whole who's on international break at the moment. And then I know Kev wants to talk about what Leah Williamson had obviously discussed earlier on in a press conference during the week about scheduling and how the players are obviously feeling about that at the moment, and of course where we can possibly go moving forward with that. So we'll get into obviously who's in international break at the moment. Arsenal have currently got 22 players on international break. It was supposed to be 24, but of course Stina Blackstenius pulls out due to family issues, and then of course Olivia Smith pulls out due to concussion protocols, which I hope both of them are doing well, and I hope everything's okay, and I hope Olivia Smith is having a smooth recovery. And yeah, it's a shame that she misses out and she believes with Canada, but it's best that she stays home and recovers from that concussion. So we'll move into obviously Katie McCabe at Ireland. She goes head to head with a few teammates over in the Netherlands, which is Victoria Pilova and Daphne van Domsla. Paul, that's a tough World Cup qualifier round for Ireland, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at that group and you sort of think France and Netherlands to go through. So one of those two will finish top, probably depending on the result between the two. But yeah, for Ireland, where you look at where they are, and they're almost on that in between, whether they should be on the level 1 or the level 2. So they're almost too good for level 2, but I don't feel they're good enough to be up there in the level 1s, group 1s. Yeah, they're one of those in between teams at the moment.
Yeah, Ireland for me they're a bit up and down. Like they toss out the bait for the fish, and like sometimes certain fish hook onto it. This is my analogy to Ireland. The fish catches on, but the second bait they toss out, it doesn't catch on. It's weird with Ireland. It reminds me a little bit of obviously Norway, which we'll obviously touch on as well. Freedom Adams obviously up against Austria and Germany. And they're the same for me. Norway have the potential with such amazing players in that squad, but the last few competitions just hasn't gone their way, and there's obviously something really going on there with them that really needs to be fixed. But Kev, Norway do have the potential to be a strong side, but they haven't obviously hit the ground running in recent tournaments, have they?
No, I mean they've always been there or thereabouts, on the verge. I mean they've had good runs in the past, but that's sort of gone, and their rebuild hasn't gone to their plan. But you never know. Like I say, they've got quality players. They just got to put it together. And as we know, that's the hardest thing to do, is to put it together.
Yeah. Do you think in this World Cup qualifiers things will start to click for Norway? Obviously, with I don't know, I haven't really been keeping an eye on anything that they've kind of been doing in recent competitions. After obviously like the Euros, where we know they had a really bad run in the first Euros, where England beat them by a far margin, but then obviously it came to the World Cup and it was still a really bad run from them. I haven't really kept an eye on them, and then again we come back into the Euros and we're still in a bad form as well. Do you think this window or this World Cup qualifiers will finally click for them?
I don't think so. Not yet. I think they've got to... Something's missing. And what that is, whether they can sort it, I don't think they can sort it at the moment. I think they've still got a way to go on the rebuilding. They've got to find these players and fine-tune them.
They're one team in there, Amelia, that the FA don't really seem to be backing at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. I think it's interesting because you've got a lot of quality players individually and you have individual talent, but then sometimes when they go away on international duty, it doesn't click, and you've got kind of squads where you get a lot of chemistry in terms of like England, where a lot of the players play together or play in the same division and play a lot of the time in the same team, so they're used to each other anyway. But then you have other teams where they go away and a lot of the players don't play in the same side and they don't play in the same league as each other. And I feel like there's such a cool difference there when they come together, and you can see it on the pitch. It doesn't quite translate chemistry wise, and it takes them a lot of time to kind of bed in with each other. And finally, when they do hit a flow, the international breaks over again. So it kind of does. They never get into a flow. They're always kind of getting this disrupted schedule. So I think it's hard for a lot of the international teams that don't have kind of the big backing, like Spain, like England, like France and Germany, that they kind of have them quality players, but they also have the backing of playing with each other constantly and being able to build them kind of relationships. For a lot of the other teams, it's a lot more difficult. So yeah, I think in that sense, kind of feel for them.
I know the last time, obviously, Norway were playing, we noticed that things with Guro Reiten wasn't right. She was playing out of position, and she wasn't happy being in that position. But as I always say, if you're pulling on your international team's top and you're going out in that pitch, you always seem to always want to play for the badge, and that, for me, that seems what Norway isn't doing at the moment. And it's shown. It's really shown through the players' expressions and how they're showing anger through things that they do and things that they don't want to do and things like that. So for me, it's such a shame for Norway, because as we've touched on, there's such good players in that team. And somehow for me, I think that's something that impacts Frida Maanum. If he doesn't go away and have a good international, I don't think she comes back to Arsenal. As good as a player that we know Frida can be, and I've been highly critical of Frida Maanum since the end of last season and then obviously going into this season. Would you agree with that, Amelia?
Yeah, I feel like if you go on international duty and you're firing and you're amongst a confident group of players, that then breeds confidence onto you. Like if you're getting results while you're out there with your country, you're going to come back really positive and raring to go at club level. And obviously it goes the opposite way. If you're not getting the results, or even if the morale's just low, you're going to naturally feel that impact. And when you come back, you're going to feel quite down on it and quite sluggish. So I feel like it's something for Norway to establish, like with all their players that play kind of across the WSL. You've got like Lisa Norsland as well, plays there, Ingrid Engen. Like these players they're quality players who really should be able to come together and have the leadership to say, actually, like, you know, we need to sort this out. As much as it's a managerial, it's on us as well to go out there and kind of turn it around and make sure that we're getting the results. So you'd feel like they've got the professionalism within the dressing room to make it happen and make sure that they can come back firing. But it's going to be an interesting break for them. I think the Austria game is winnable for them, but looking ahead from that, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, obviously Germany's quite a tough team. Again, Germany for me over the last few since they lost in the final to England, I don't think Germany have quite hit where they want to be after that. I think that was a knock to their confidence. But we don't need to worry about Germany. There's nobody in that team that we should really worry about. But obviously we're wanting some of our players to maybe go away and have a good international break to then come back to Arsenal and fire on all cylinders, especially this end of the season. Like we need it to be a good end to the season, and we also need those players to be obviously confident coming back. Paul, is there any comments? And then we'll move on to obviously Smila Holmberg at Sweden.
Yeah, a few people saying hello. Chris, Mark, James, and George.
Hello, Bob.
And Darren's just asked, other than the Aussies and Philippines, has anyone else played? Because he's out of sync with the Asian Cup. And I actually don't know the answer to that either.
Emily Fox played last night in the USA, but she didn't come on till the 68th minute, which again we'll obviously discuss. Emily Fox, she's on the list. All the players are on my list, and we can talk about that. Smila Holmberg with Sweden. Paul, she's obviously playing Italy and Serbia. Italy impressed at the last Euros, didn't they? And do you think they could carry that momentum onto the World Cup?
Yeah, again, Sweden, they've been sort of quite a successful team in the past at getting through in tournaments, getting quite far. Obviously, the semi-finals in the Euros, where we thrashed them, but yeah, they're a team that they should go most of the way. But the problem is when these players, like we've touched on a minute ago, the players want to play in the best leagues in the world, and the Swedish league is not the best league in the world. You know, it's not the WSL, it's not the Spanish league, you know, the French league. That's where the players want to be. So again, when you say about the England players, a lot of them play for the Arsenal, the Man City, Man Uniteds, Chelsea. They're all playing together. A team like Sweden is drawing them in from. A lot of them are in Sweden, but then there's a lot like Holmberg. Okay, we know Stina's not there anymore, and even Rosa that's with Brighton. So when you're drawing players from that far afield, it's going to be a problem to get them to gel together. And again, I do feel that once you get outside of those top 4 or 5 leagues in Europe, then you're starting to struggle to do that.
Yeah, but let's not brush aside the Euros. Obviously, last year, that I think for me, Sweden was one of the ones that were a dark horse for me in that Euros. Every game they played, you were kind of thinking, oh, geez, do we really want to come up against Sweden? And then we obviously noticed that they give England such a hard game to then take it to penalties. And of course, Mila was one of the ones that that unfortunately missed a penalty to then put Sweden out. But on the other hand, I think most people were looking at Smilla Holmberg and saying, "Oh, she's so young, but she's such a good player." And most of us would probably agree that watching that Euros, Smilla Holmberg was one of the standout players, especially for Sweden. And of course, then she signs for Arsenal, and she's also in form at Arsenal at the moment as well. She's got us excited. Like we know what she can do. But Kevin, do you think she'll have another strong international break with Sweden?
I hope so. Again, back to your point about confidence breeding confidence. If she has a good international break, then it's all good for Arsenal. Because her confidence on the ball, dinking those lovely little crosses into the 6-yard box. And yeah, if she has a good international break, I'll see her scoring very, very soon.
Yeah, it's coming, and it's coming. A goal's coming from Smilla for Arsenal. It just seems to be every time it's closer and closer and closer, and we have been saying there's definitely a goal in it coming soon from her. Yeah, obviously, Amelia, it's such a shame that Stina Blackstenius has obviously had to drop out of the Sweden national team due to a family issue. And as I says, I hope everything's all good with Stina. But do you think for Sweden that'll be a big miss?
Yeah, huge. I think you just see that she's kind of the heart and soul of that attack. I feel like they've got Aslani as well, as who is a very good quality player, and obviously we've seen that for LCL this season as well. She scored quite a lot of goals for them, but really Stina is the main kind of outlet for them. The runs that she makes in behind, the way that she is kind of the target player. I feel like we saw it at the Euros as well. She punished England by making that kind of quick run behind the defence, and once she gets off and she's in front of you, you can't catch her because she's got the pace. So yeah, I think it will be a big loss, but obviously it's what's right for her at the minute, and obviously she needs to be with her family and doing whatever she's doing to look after herself. So obviously thinking of her and making sure that she's all right is the main thing at the moment.
Yeah, she's had a bit of a tough time at the moment, and especially with just coming back from injury, and then of course family issues can come up at home, and maybe it was at the right time for her to get that Sweden call up, because she probably maybe would have already been in Sweden for her to then be there for her family. And as I say, I hope everything's all right, and it's never nice to hear that something's going on that you have to drop out of your international break for that. But yeah, so over to Spain, which really shocked me with Leah Cadena getting a call up to that, because I don't think, for me, Leah Cadena hasn't been in the Spain team for a little while, and I don't know if maybe Spain are seeing something in Leah in her recent performances that they gave her the call up. And then of course Mariona, who play against Iceland and Ukraine. I don't know if those two will travel to Turkey for that as well. Anybody know if they'll be travelling to Turkey to play Ukraine?
I think it's played in Spain. I think right. Spain are at home for that one.
Yeah. Obviously, Spain are always top contenders in every major tournament, and it's bloody annoying. And of course, Mariona is always such an important part of their setup. Do you think Mariona in this World Cup qualifiers will be a key role for Spain?
Well, she's a key role whenever she walks out on the pitch. But yeah, I mean, obviously we've got to face them in the next international break as well. But yeah, when she pulls on that Spain shirt, she's just electric, and she's the best she can be for them. And yeah, with the Cadena call up as well, she is a world champion, so at club and country level. So she's another one that hopefully go away on this international break, have a couple of good games for Spain, and then come back just when we need her as well, to be in top form. Obviously, with Steph still being away in the Asian Cup.
Yeah. Kev, what's your thoughts on Leah's call up for Spain?
It's obviously on. Who else have they got? Have they got a glut of central defenders? Probably not. And as we know, the Spanish defence isn't the best. It's just that their midfield's the best. And you've got to get the ball off them to get at their defence. But she's not had a lot of football this season. But she's pretty reliable. And yeah, she's part of the setup. So they're always gonna bring her in, and I suppose they'll see what she does in training, and they'll go from there.
Obviously, Spain, for me, that looking at that, Spain have such an easy round this time round. I know the next round they've obviously got England, and I don't know who else they have. Does anybody know who else England they would have in the next round as well? So obviously they've got Iceland.
We're back to back with them, so we're at home and away in the next window.
Right. England, as you can tell, I'm Scottish. I like to keep an eye on it, but I'm not really clued up in who's going to win, so, which is the reason why Paul's going to take over the England preview, because it's probably best that it comes from an Englishman or an English woman. But hey ho, for me, it's going to be such a tough group in terms of England and Spain in it, Amelia. Like that is such a good battle to have, and as Kev touched on as well with Spain's midfield, let's not brush past obviously Spain's striking force either. They're a force to be reckoned with, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you want to see England coming up against the best teams when you support them, and you want to see Spain and England clashing all the time in women's football, because they probably are the two best teams at the moment internationally, if you're not looking outside of Europe. So I feel like, yeah, I think they're a threat going forward. And again, I would say kind of agree that I'm not sure defensively they're actually that strong. It's more their attacking capabilities that they've got. But I think maybe England are kind of getting more wise to it. The more they meet Spain, the more they play games against them. Obviously, we saw in the 2023 World Cup, we fell short to them, but then we were able to overcome them in the Euros final. And I think the more we play them, we're kind of looking that we look that little bit stronger every time. And I feel like we're kind of getting wise to playing them as well. We're kind of figuring them out. It's kind of becoming a bit like when Arsenal play Chelsea in the WSL, and you get these more bit of a rivalry, but I love to see it. I think, yeah, they're obviously no doubt, and they're a really quality team, and they're going to want to get revenge after what happened at the Euros. But I think England will be on their game as well, and looking to get a win over them again.
Yeah, let's not brush it past the fact as well that obviously they still won't have Bonmati either back in their team at the moment. Obviously, we don't know when she will be back, and fingers crossed, I think, for most England fans that she's not going to be back in that next international break either, because we all know exactly what Bonmati can bring for Spain. But of course, as well, they've got Patry out as well. She's still not. I don't think she's fully fit either. But of course, then they've brought back Mappy Leon back in the defence as well, which, although very many people may not like her as a person, and of course what she's done in recent times, but I still think Mappy Leon is she's still a solid defender for me. And if Arsenal ever went in for her, I don't think I would be one to say no to her. I know very many people would, but I still think she's still a solid defender, and that's what kind of confused me with Leah Cadena obviously getting the call up. But hey ho, she's been getting the minutes recently, and And if, of course, their manager thinks she deserves a call-up, then why not? Maybe that's another run for Leah that she can maybe get that could maybe boost her confidence a little bit more, and then she comes back to Arsenal a better player as well. So touching on Emily Fox, who is obviously the USA national women's team, she's also playing in a competition which is She Believes, and of course they go and beat Argentina last night 2-0 with goals from Lindsay Heats and Jaden Shaw, not Bunny Shaw. Many people probably would have maybe got that confused. Now, Emily Fox didn't start that game, and then came on in the 62nd minute, I think she came on. Paul, do you think that was Emma Hayes maybe just looking at Emily Fox and saying, you know what, you played a lot of minutes at Arsenal recently, and then, of course, the travelling?
Yeah, I mean, we know Emily Fox up until very recently has started almost every game for us, and yeah, I say the travelling's there, so I'm hoping that's Emma Hayes looking at things like that. I was half expecting her to start because obviously with Emma with her Chelsea links is, well, let's just tire her out even more before the Champions League games come back. But yeah, it was good to see her not starting because I don't think she's the sort of player that, some of the players go on international breaks and you need them to have a really good international break, come back strong, whereas Emily Fox is a strong player anyway. And even if she doesn't start these sort of few games, but just gets a few minutes here and there, she'll still come back sharp as anything for us.
Yeah. Amelia, do you think that's a competition that like the USA can win?
Yeah,
again?
absolutely.
Again.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like they're probably the favourites, and I feel like they still have maybe not as strong a team as they had a few years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago, and in the last decade, but it's very much still a strong squad, and a lot of it does play across the NWSL as well. So again, that thing of having the familiarity and knowing each other well and having the chemistry is going to be there. I think it was interesting with Emily Fox because I feel like last night she was more like the third choice, and she ended up having to come on because the fullback that played originally got subbed off, and then the fullback that came on for her got injured, and then Emily Fox came on and made her appearance. So I wonder if she was kind of the backup and maybe wasn't in Emma Hayes' plans at all. But I think that would probably be nothing other than just the fact that, she's had to do the travelling, played a lot of games recently, and there's probably a protection around her as well. I think on bigger occasions, in bigger games where the USA are going to need her, I think you'll see her starting more regularly.
Yeah, I was going to say Emily Fox seemed to be obviously Emma Hayes' first choice on that team sheet as well, didn't she? Because of the type of player obviously Emily Fox is. But as you said, it seemed last night that she was third choice, and I don't think that that was a bad decision to make, especially in terms of looking at it as an Arsenal fan. That for me, that's good. She can have as limited minutes as she wants. We just don't want her coming back injured, or especially with the games that we have coming up. Now, I'm going to pass you over to Amelia, who's obviously going to talk about the Australia game, because none of us, I'm assuming, guys, watched it. So
I did, yeah, I had it on.
I did.
But did you have it on? Well, there we go. You and Amelia can go back and forth, and me and Kev can chime in on that one. So, Amelia, I'll obviously pass it over to you and let you break that one down for us.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. I feel like Australia probably should have come out winning by a significantly higher number of goals than what they did. It was very much attack versus defence, particularly in the second half. And I think it was interesting to see where Steph Catley played. Obviously, when she goes on international duty, she moves back across to that natural left-back position where she originally started for Arsenal and then obviously got moved into centre-back. And it's good to see her and Caitlin Ford on that left-hand side. I think you can tell when you watch them that they're two players that have played together for a number of years, but also play together consistently at club level as well. The link-up is really impressive between the two of them. And I think at times Steph Catley was one of the highest players up the pitch. She was trying to get in, create chances. She even nearly scored a couple of times. And I think it's so interesting to see her play that role at Australia, because when I look back at Arsenal, I think there's really no reason why she can't play that role at club level either. I don't know about you two, but I feel like there's always an option. There's been this talk about the centre-back position at Arsenal and who the two players would be to fit in there when you've got Katie Reid fit, when you've got Leah Williamson fit, when you've got Leah Williamson, and when you've got Steph Catley as well. But for me, there's no reason to say that you can't play the likes of Leah and Lotta and then play Steph on that left-hand side again, because I think she does it so well, and I think she's got such her age in it. It's like fine wine. You don't see her play football any different the older she gets. I feel so solid and consistent and with her performances that actually she could keep going for years and years and years. We say 10 more years Kim Little, but there's an argument for 10 more years Steph Catley as well. So yeah, I think forward with McCabe, maybe coming out of that left back position, it's definitely a headache for Renee to maybe slot Steph into that, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, for me, I think if Katie McCabe does go at the end of the season, then that's possibly something. If Steph also stays at Arsenal as well, I think that's possibly something Renee is maybe looking at bringing back again, is Steph moving back over to that left back. And I was going to obviously touch on a bit when you said that the link up between Caitlin Ford and Steph again. Like, do you think that's something maybe Caitlin has missed? I know obviously off the pitch she has a great relationship with Katie McCabe, but on the pitch we all know the relationship, it just isn't there. It doesn't quite link up the way we used to see it between Steph and Caitlin. Do you think Caitlin misses that?
I think so. I feel like they've maybe touched on it a bit in the media after the game that was played against the Philippines. I think both of them had their say on how much they enjoy playing together, and that on the pitch chemistry is completely different to off the pitch, as you say. Like, I think they've been so used to playing such a similar brand of football under similar managers, obviously at club and at international level. And you're kind of, when you're doing that, you're intaking the same information consistently. So they're getting the word at club level to play a certain way, and then they go off internationally and they have to fit that system as well. And I think they just bounce off each other brilliantly. I think it's just the same footballing wavelength and that same kind of technical ability that they both got. And I think they just bounce off each other really well. And I think you can see that on the pitch. I think Caitlin Ford got player of the match in that game against the Philippines. And largely that was due to the fact that she assisted the goal for Sam Kerr. But so she did have a brilliant performance. She should have probably got a goal herself. She could have got a couple more assists as well. But also it was a lot to do with Steph Catley opening the space up for her, making the runs down the left-hand side that allowed her to be creative. So yeah, I think they work really well together, and I would love to see it more at Arsenal. I think we see it a little bit with centre-back, but we definitely see it more when she's in that left-back role.
Yeah. Kev, obviously, as Amelia just touched on there, that Caitlin Ford should have had some goals and obviously a lot more assists. Do you think that's a confidence thing with Caitlin Ford at the moment, that it's just not clicking for her, that even at international break that she can't even get those goals or assists there either?
Yeah, I'd say 99% of it comes down to confidence. We know she's got the ability. I mean, you go back to last season and she was scaring the bejesus out of defences all season long. So yeah, confidence, I'd say. And I would like to add, I'd have given player of the match to the Philippine goalkeeper. Had an absolute blinder. She's probably the first time she saw the Philippines probably would have been when she was selected, though, like most of the team, because I don't think any of them were born there.
But that seems to be the thing these days.
Right, Philippines just exports nurses, carers all around the world. So probably most of them have got American fathers anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah. She just needs to start banging a few in, and then we'll see the old Fordy back, which is, I think we'd all like to see it, unless you're George, of course. But yeah.
Obviously, Kyra Cooney Cross, as many people who support the tellies would have been panicking that Kyra obviously didn't show up with the rest of the team, but it turns out that Kyra was obviously sick and didn't travel with Caitlin or Steph, and then of course showed up to obviously camp a little bit later than planned, and then was obviously on a single training plan when she arrived, and of course that meant that she didn't make the bench yesterday for Australia, which is a shame. I just think Kyra Cooney-Cross is having such a hard time at the moment. Of course, a mum, and then being ill, and of course she has to take some time out for herself, and I just hope Kyra gets her head down and really gets stuck in, especially in this international break. We know for a fact that if Kyra wasn't ill, she probably would have started yesterday for Australia, because personally I think Joe Montemuro rates her really highly, and yeah, I just want her to go away and obviously have a good tournament with Australia during this time, and again another one that I'm maybe come back to Arsenal and hit the ground running again. Paul, of course the Australian girls are away a lot more longer than obviously some of the other girls that are away for international duty, and that's purely down to being away for the Asian Cup. Do you think that's going to have such an impact on Arsenal the way we think it's going to? If you get what I mean? Like, obviously we have Steph away, we have Caitlin away, and we have Kyra away, but for me, the only player I feel that we would really miss at the moment out of those three would be Steph Catley.
Yeah, as long as our other players come back fully fit, I think we'll be okay. It's having that depth, isn't it, to the squad, that you lose those three players. We saw it the other week when we played the Champions League game, when our front line wrote itself on the team sheet because we only had three players able to play there with suspensions and injuries. So if you've got no Caitlin up front, obviously Beth's out injured as well, that does somewhat limit us, and we are heading into a really important stage of the calendar. We're going for at least second place in the WSL. We got the Champions League quarterfinals against Chelsea, so that's going to be the easiest one to get through. And then we've got the FA Cup as well against Brighton. So that's we need the players, whether it's the Australians or any of them, that they need to come back ready to sort of get back into that squad and fully fit.
Yeah, we're just hoping everybody comes back fit, and then obviously everybody's confident and happy to obviously be back. So Paul, I'll obviously stay on you, and I'll let you obviously talk about the England game tomorrow. Amelia, I know you said you have to pop off at a certain time.
I'm going to jump off, but go well. Enjoy the rest of the show, guys.
No worries. Thank you very much for Amelia for popping on for us. That was brilliant. Thank you. Right, Paul, over to you for the preview for tomorrow's England game against Ukraine and Turkey.
Ukraine. Also, congratulations to the under-23s who beat France 1-0 today.
Congratulations
well.
to them.
And Jess Gale came off the bench, I think, for about the last 10-15 minutes as well.
Did she get a goal?
She didn't know. It was Lloyd Smith of Bristol City that got the winning goal.
Both players from Bristol City that obviously are doing really well at the moment now.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously Ukraine tomorrow being played in Turkey. So fingers crossed everything is safe out there for the players. And Leah's back in the squad. Obviously, with her having had the last couple of squads, she was out injured. So we'll be looking, hopefully, that she gets a start and gets a couple of games. Being confident. I still feel it's a shame for Lotta that she gets called up to all these squads for the last God knows how many years, and she sits on the bench. and she very rarely gets any game time unless it's in like the Arnold Clark Cup or it's a friendly for whatever reason. I don't know what she's got to do.
I have a question on that, Paul. Do you think if she would have went Netherlands way? No, but no, because obviously a lot of Wibbermoy could have played for the Netherlands and then of course England. But do you think if she would have went to the Netherlands, she would have got a start for them?
Quite probably, I think, yes. But I'll say she's a top quality player, and she's proved herself at club level, and she's been there for England whenever she has been needed and called up. But when you look at sort of almost like seniority in the England squad, when Leah was out and then obviously Millie Bright retired, you think, well, Lotta's the next one. She's been there all that time, and she's sort of being overlooked by the younger players, even younger players than Lotta, because we know she's not one of the oldest in the squad. So I do just feel it's a real shame for her, and I do hope she gets some time soon, because I know she's a double Euro winner, but
it's so hard in that back line for England, isn't it? Because I think for me, England has one of the best defences. Like, there's no denying that. I think looking at if you look at any other team, England has one of the best defences, i.e. Alex Greenwood, Leah Williamson, Maya Letizia. No one can deny that Maya Letizia for Man United has been solid for the last 2 seasons. And then, of course, you look at the likes of Lucy Bronze and stuff like that. I do genuinely think England do have one of the best, and it's such a hard. That for me, that's one of the hardest positions to maybe break into, and it's just been unfortunate for a lot of. I think obviously the season that she won Player of the Season for us, that maybe should have been a breakthrough season for England. And then again, she comes in this season and steps in for Leah Williamson once again, and she's had yet again another good season. And as you says, Paul, it's sad because she always gets overlooked, and Lotta to me just seems like she's just happy to be there, which I don't think anybody should just be happy just to be there if they're not getting the game. And I personally think these 2 games that England have, this should be a chance where a lot of Wibbermoy should maybe get a start. Definitely.
I mean, you want to be playing your top players all the time, but your squad is built up of sort of 25, 26 players, and every single one that's there, is good enough to play, or should be good enough to play for England. So, give her the chance. Even if, we've even got Freya Godfrey in the squad this time. So, hopefully she'll get a few minutes here and there. I can't see her starting in the first couple of games. But, as a youngster coming into the full Lionesses team for the first time, it's all about gaining that experience, being around the senior players, getting used to how things work there, which, I've said right back to last season, I think Freya Godfrey's a fantastic player, and it was a real shame that we let her go when we did, and unless obviously we know she was guaranteed the game time at London City, and now she's got the England call up to prove it. So from a personal level, for her, it was the right move to make at the right time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And obviously up front as well for England, you got Chloe Kelly and Kev's favourites, Leslie Russo. So we hope she can sort of bang in a couple of goals and, I say, get that confidence back again, and then come back to us firing again. And what I did think watching the Australia game and the Caitlin Ford assist, the way she headed that ball straight to Sam Kerr to score, Caitlin Ford was confident of where Sam Kerr was going to be. Whereas at Arsenal, is she confident we're going to have a number 9 in that penalty area ready to score from that sort of position? I don't think she is.
No.
Yeah.
You
No.
know,
That's what Sam Kerr does. She is a fox in the box. You know, that's where she's going to be all the time. We just don't have. We don't play a number 9 like that. We just don't play it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we
I
know
think
Leslie's
that's down to
workload.
obviously management tactics, though, but isn't it? Like, that's down to what Rooney obviously, what Rooney puts out on the field in terms of where she wants players to be positioned, and we all know that she heavily relies on Alessia Russo to pull a cell out and gather the ball in midfield and of course run with it. But yeah, I just think if we looked at every other team and the way they set up, the way we set up our positioning on the park would just be absolutely everywhere. But I mean,
Yeah,
it's maybe something we should look at in terms of Caitlin Ford and how we can maybe get the best out in her. So it is.
yeah. But
Anything
yeah,
else
I
in
mean,
the England game, Paul?
I say other than the absolute lunacy of playing it at 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday that we complained about domestically anyway.
Yeah. We'll obviously touch on a little bit of scheduling and stuff. In terms of team selection tomorrow, Paul, who do you think will start for England?
I think obviously Hannah Hampton will be in goal for both of these games. You know, she's got that England number 1 jersey, and that'll be that. Interesting stat: Lucy Bronze is our 3rd top goal scorer in the squad as a right back. But you know, she's been going for so long, that's not too surprising. But yeah, it'll be Lucy, it'll be Leah, probably Jess Carter and Alex Greenwood at the back. It'd be nice to see Taylor Hines get a little bit either against Ukraine or Iceland. And then of course we've got Georgia Stanway, whether the likes of Leah can have a little quiet word in her ear and just get track a little bit sooner.
I know there was a discussion around that today in terms of her future. Obviously she had dropped a little hint that something will be signed soon and it will be sealed, and whether we'll know sooner rather than later, then of course we don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, it'd be nice to see a sign. And you've always had that little doubt of when they're on international duty, especially when there's a transfer window coming up or there's contracts coming to an end, you never know which players are having unofficial sort of chats with others.
Come and join us.
Send Kev to the game.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be Serena has her favourites, and it will be the usual starting 11, pretty much.
Which I don't really think she needs to do. I don't think she needs to start a really, really strong 11 tomorrow.
No, I think you can rotate a couple of players tomorrow and put out a decent full strength team against Iceland when you're back at home in front of your home fans and things. But you need to have 8 or 9 of your top players, bring in a couple of others that are like your fringe players, because you've got Spain coming up in a few weeks' time, and if one of your key players, heaven forbid, someone like Leslie Russo picks up a knock, who are you going to play in that position? You need options, and you need them playing there.
Yeah. Anything else, Paul?
No, I think we're all
No worries.
We'll come back next week and review it.
We'll see how it goes. And then, of course, we'll move on to obviously something that has sparked a lot of discussion lately, i.e. scheduling. And then, of course, as we've seen during the week, that Leah Williamson was obviously asked in a press conference about the women's scheduling. And he's taken a lot of flack on X. Good old X. Always brings up the flack, doesn't it? Especially people who class themselves Arsenal fans. They always seem to dig up in everything that they possibly can, especially if they don't like a player. Leah has mentioned many times that there is obviously conversations going on with the Football Association about the workload and scheduling concerns. Kevin, what do you think needs to happen in terms of the discussions from the FA to players to club going forward? What do you think the discussion needs to be, and what do you think needs to happen going forward for these players' scheduling?
Well, as far as going forward, considering next season we're up to 14 teams in the WSL, and the following season 16, was that the target?
Yeah.
So that's a lot more league games. All right, we're getting. If we qualify for the Champions League, we're kicked out of the League Cup. No big deal. But if you're looking at Champions League, league stages, FA Cup, WSL, the problem is not the amount of games they play. It's the amount of time they're crammed into.
Yeah.
We start late. We have an almighty great winter break, and then throw in your international breaks. You don't need. I mean, this international break is too long for 2 games.
Yeah.
So that winter break needs cutting down. They don't need that bloody long for Christmas. I mean, I've got bored shitless waiting for us to get back. So yeah, start the season a couple of weeks earlier, and just cut that winter break down a bit.
September for a season to start is a long time, and isn't it? Especially when a season finishes in May for the women, and then having to wait till September to obviously get the season going again is, for me, I've always wondered why that always was, and it's confusing that women's football was never ever brought forward, but maybe that's scheduling in terms of the men's side or things like that. But it's always been confusing to me.
Yeah. But like I say, they just need to start it earlier, cut that winter break down, and be a little bit more mindful when scheduling bloody friendlies. You can't do much about World Cup qualifiers, European qualifiers, but like I say, they play 2 games in 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
But how long's the break?
The winter break or summer?
This current international break. We play two games, 5 days apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. No football for. Yeah, it just seems that just seems a little bit weird. Yes, you got other people off on doing it, like say the Asian Cup, but you can't do much about that either. That's down to FIFA. But yeah, it just needs a little more thought. I mean, we are absolutely going to be in the crap come the end of this season if we keep going.
We'll be knackered.
I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this season if we keep going. If we go all the way in the FA Cup and the Champions League, I don't know.
The good thing about it at the end of this is obviously the girls don't have any international competitions in the summer, which will allow them to obviously recuperate. But we touched on a little bit there, Paul. Do you think club and country are doing enough, are encouraging enough rotation between squads. Clearly, England isn't. We touched on that. Serena always has her favourites and wants to start those. But do you think the clubs are obviously encouraging squad rotation?
Yeah, I mean, what I'd like to see is get rid of these international breaks mid-season. And when it comes to, I mean, we've got another international period at the beginning of June when we play the final qualifiers against Iceland and Ukraine. Is why not have that instead of just 2 games? Why not have it as 4 games and have it as a longer camp? And you do one at the beginning of the season and one at the end of the season, and then that's it. Nothing in between. Because I think that for those players that have gone off to that international camp to have that run of 4 games rather than 2, they'll gel together more as a team in that, and I think it would do the international scene sort of a lot of good to have that amount of games together rather than all this spread apart through the season. Players not going off if it's a friendly game, then obviously they don't have to join up if they have a little niggle or something. One of these injuries. Sorry, throwing in my throat there.
You get that cough.
Yeah, that's that one from Chelsea. But I just feel that it just breaks up the flow of the domestic league, having these breaks in the middle. And okay, we've got loads of games coming up when we qualify through further stages of the competition, and we have had the World Club Cup thingy as well, which has thrown an extra couple of games into our scheduling. But and with that, why didn't our game against Leicester get scheduled earlier in the season? Apparently there were 3 dates it could have been played, but until January they didn't decide when it was going to be. But this tournament's coming up, which game it is against Leicester that we're not going to be playing, and you've got 3 dates earlier in the season. Now we've got the situation coming up that we've got that one rearranged. We've just been announced today the Brighton game's been rearranged because of the waterlogged pitch. When we're playing at these grounds that are not, I'm going to say, not suitable for top division football, like Crawley, that is just going to have a knock on further down the line. Because at the end of the day, these grounds are not there. They're not suitable. They may have been 50 years ago, but they're not suitable for top division football these days.
Yeah, we've obviously spoke about that, haven't we? And what clubs should be doing better to obviously better these grounds. Kev, surely it's not just Leah as the England captain that feels strongly about this scheduling situation, because to me, going on X, it seemed like everybody just fired at Leah simply because Leah has opened her mouth, and we all know that Leah's never ever one to shy away from a conversation like that. But surely other club captains and international captains are feeling the exact same way, that they should be coming out and saying, listen, we agree with what Leah Williamson is saying.
Yeah, and they should be backing her up.
Yeah.
But as we know, Leah's a bloody good speaker.
Yeah.
And she's not frightened to speak. And she is pretty much a spokesperson in her captain's role at England. And
it's one of the reasons why she's England captain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she may not scream and holler on the pitch, but when she speaks, she speaks, she knows what she wants to say and she gets it across. Mm-hmm. Apart from when they win something and then she just can't speak. But, there are players that have sort of mentioned it. I mean, I've seen Katie McKay mention it, and that's probably as a role at Ireland. But Yeah, the amount of absolute complete knobheads there are on social media. If you can't stand the heat, get back in the kitchen. And such, but they actually go against their own argument. A lot of these people, because on one hand they're saying no, women ain't strong enough, fit enough to play football, and then on the other hand they're saying you're professional footballers, get on with it, make your mind up, fellas. You can't have it both ways. But yeah, it just needs spreading out a little bit. It just gets too bloody condensed, and that's when
as Catherine just touched on there. It's most likely if we obviously get past Chelsea, 2 more games are going to need to be rearranged due to that as well, and that's going to put Arsenal further back. Kev, would you like to add any more into that discussion about obviously scheduling and?
No, I think I'll leave that one there. I'll park that.
We're already a minute over on the show, but I'm sure George will be happy with that one. He's getting an hour out the show. I think that's the reason he was avoiding it, because he was like, I don't know if I'm going to get an hour out the show.
I'd just like to touch on my local team, Abingdon. They've now got, they managed to rearrange one of their games for yesterday. They've still got another 3 postponements to get in before the end of the season. All 4 of them, they've all been due to waterlogged pitches, 2 at home and 2 away. But they've got the added complication of they all work. They're not professional footballers. Yeah. So they've got, one of their games, they've got a trip all the way down to Plymouth for one of them. That's not the sort of game you can do after work on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Okay, they haven't got Champions League and FA Cup games to contend with. It's just the league, but their league finishes the 26th of April, so it's a lot earlier than the WSL.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you know what? It just seems like it's not just, obviously, Scotland's the same at the moment. It's like Celtic, Rangers, stuff like that are obviously, they're also complaining about their schedules. So for me, it just seems like scheduling across the whole of women's football is just a mess. And simply just the FA's just not showing the women's football, the women's game enough respect. And of course we know that the English FA have put a lot of work into obviously get England where they need to be to these days, but for me there's still a lot of work for every FA across the board to do a lot more work for the women's game, and sadly they're not doing it quick enough for me, and that's like a sad state of affair for me, because how much the women's game has grown, that's something that should be picked up pretty quick. So it is. So obviously that is us for this evening. Paul, before we go, you want to sort out any questions or anything before we go, so people don't feel like we've ignored them?
Let's just go through. Catherine said, do we think Lucy Bronze will play as a centre-back for England, like she's been playing for Chelsea?
No,
because England have got stronger centre-backs. Chelsea haven't. That's the simple answer to that. That's pretty much all the questions in there. All good.
No worries. And of course, guys, that brings us to the end of tonight's show. So thank you very much to everybody in the comments for getting involved, and we obviously love hearing your thoughts on stuff like this. I know it's a completely different show from what we normally do, but it's always good to get something out there for the international break, especially when Arsenal alone have 22 players across the board in the international part of this season. So make sure you like, share and subscribe to the channel, and obviously don't miss out on our next episode, and we'll be back very soon. But until next time, Come on, you Gunners.